Hot. Hello, friends. Hey, guys, we're back again. Here for another Chapo. I'd like to kick things off this week by reading a tweet that I came across today. That honestly, we do a lot of cynical, sarcastic, ironic stuff on this show, but sometimes I encounter something that kind of fills my heart. Makes me feel warm inside, and makes you think of the good that we're doing in the world. And I'm just going to share it with you now. It comes courtesy of Tom Watson.
You know what's amazing is that there's a fucking piece of shit centrist wad named Tom Watson in the UK, and it's a different guy.
Yeah, which Tom Watson are you talking about? American, French?
This is United States Tom Watson.
Manchurian Tom Watson?
Is there like a Tom Watson in every country who just embodies shit liberalism?
No, there's a Fijian Tom Watson.
So this is Tom Watson. He's quote tweeting a take that says, Bernie Sanders has the most toxic stands, and that's because movements led by and for white men are toxic.
Oh, your taste of your lips are
He doesn't do a single thing to stop this toxicity because he is too scared of his. And then it cuts off here. You gotta stop singing songs on the show.
All right,
the people they don't like it.
We're paying out the ass for these fucking copyright fees.
Fair use.
Okay, so Tom Watson replies to this and says, the toxicity is a strategy, and it works.
I'll switch to System of a Down then. Toxicity.
Well, he endorsed Bernie.
He did,
so, yeah,
yes.
we won't have to pay. The toxicity is a strategy, and it works. Other candidates are afraid of Bernie. Many reporters are afraid of Bernie.
That's what's up.
Nobody wants the swarm.
Talk shit, get hit.
That fear is effective.
You do not want this swarm.
I guess I had Tom read all wrong because, here he is praising Bernie Sanders and his smart, successful strategy.
He's got a fucking army of disciplined, drilled warriors who get results.
I mean, I guess it's just this fills my heart because as long as I've been doing this show or even having been on Twitter, I never once thought to myself wow, this is important or matters, or I'm having an effect on the real world or politics or doing anything other than what I would be doing otherwise, which is mostly just amusing myself and by
being anesthetized by the spectacle.
Yeah. But you just you come along and guess what?
Yeah, you actually you put fucking
it does.
W's on the board. Kamala Harris, bye-bye.
Well, no, I think the thing is, I've noticed this recently, and if you follow Tom, and I can't due to a glitch on Twitter, what they've been saying for years now is just whenever they someone makes fun of them or is rude to them or gives them the fear, they'll quote tweet it and be like, if you really think this is helping your candidate, these Bernie Sanders supporters are his biggest liability.
Yeah.
You can't build a coalition like this. Now that all their faves are bye-bye, they're gone, and then the others, Elizabeth Warren is circling the drain because her fucking fans are supporting Pete.
Yep.
And then they're killing each other,
Yep.
as we'll talk about during the debate. And then they're stuck with what? Supporting Joe Biden?
Or Amy Klobuchar.
Or Amy
maybe?
Klobuchar, whatever, yeah. So now that they can read a fucking poll, or reading the same polls that we've been looking at for the last 8 or 9 months, now they've switched to, this is really going to hurt Bernie. And this really hurts Bernie. I know you think it's funny to do this to me, but you don't know how bad you look, to this is really helping Bernie and it needs to stop.
I mean, so you're saying you're doing too good a job of politics. That's not fair.
Yes.
It's sorry, there's no rules in the fucking corn cob, buddy.
Well, they want rules. They want the rules to come back.
There ain't no fucking rules. Politics ain't beanbag, as a bunch of awful douchebags say all the time on there to justify just reptilian awfulness.
Well, like we've said on the show, they would rather lose while following the rules than win and maybe break a rule.
Well, because breaking the rules would undermine their position within the party. So
But,
they will always take defeat while still holding control of the actual party itself. Iron law of institutions. Shout out John Schwartz.
And also, I love the idea, the original tweet that he's quoting is just movements led by, white men will always be toxic because it's well, yeah, Bernie Sanders is a white man, but let's stack up his fucking movement against any of the ones that you're fucking standing for, to use the
Every
term of the
single
moment.
person Other than Biden, everybody else's coalition is wildly whiter than Bernie's is. Mayor Pete, Warren, Mayor Pete is like a Klan rally. Come on.
So, I mean, this is the crowd that's really fond of saying Twitter is not real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now they've just totally regressed to the point where this is all that matters is my mentions.
No, that's the thing, Virgil. I swear to God, I've always assumed that Twitter was not real life.
Yes, of course.
That it's just this,
it's the only way you stay sane on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that it is just this huge, just like, I don't know, it's
a busy box.
It's just a busy box for like all of our anxieties and neuroses about the world that you just fart out into this like alternate sphere of just like self-contained
yelling into a paper bag
insanity and just like I don't know, yes, just like the human centipede of just like all of our fears, neuroses, and senses of humor or whatever. Now that like it's been for a while now, like saying like whenever people say Twitter isn't real life, what they mean is MSNBC is.
Yes.
And they always talk about what a small amount of people use Twitter and how it skews to being people who are like higher educated or whiter or more progressive than the overall population. Who the fuck is what they mean is like these are people who work for fucking cable news are saying this shit. And then like I'm saying, if you add up the audiences, they're pretty much comparable. What they're really saying is people on the left who make fun of me and don't take me seriously isn't real. It's not real. If you close your eyes, it can't hurt you.
Well, because that's the thing. Twitter isn't real life, sure, but politics, as it's currently constituted, is also not real life.
Right.
Most people don't vote. They don't follow it to this degree.
Yes.
And
it's just us. You're all locked in here with us.
That's the other thing, is that the people who are most sort of pissy about Twitter not being real life are people who have to be on Twitter for their job.
Yeah.
And because of that, they have the fear. They have the fear now because, again, they're in here with us, and we have an audience as big or considerably bigger than theirs.
And that's why the chief frustration that radiates out of every complaint about a media figure about Twitter boils down to, I want to be able to fire them.
Yeah.
And the thing is that in their mind, it's not fair that they can't get those people fired because they could get fired because they are basically on the job. They are under the panopticon fucking Sauron eye of their boss. Anything they say will get them in trouble. So it's not fair that it doesn't apply to you too.
I think it is very gratifying. I saw, Ryan Lizzo had a piece in like Politico or something about this, and he kept using the phrase "the cool kids of Twitter,"
Yes.
and like sort of derisively, or just saying that like it's skewing democratic politics because like all these young people are online and they're like the cool kids of Twitter are starting to like direct policy or like sort of find points of pressure on these different campaigns, or people are looking to appeal to them. And I just think I just find it very gratifying that whenever I see the phrase "the cool kids of Twitter," I know they're talking about me.
Yay! Friggin' Fonzie over here.
I'm sorry, who the fuck else are they talking about?
No,
I mean, maybe that's like megalomaniacal or whatever, but like
we're cool. That's all
but I
there is
mean,
to
like
it.
honestly,
We're
like,
cool.
Listener,
We're cool.
Listener,
we get our sushi comp.
Listener, I mean, you should take this to heart.
Yeah. You'll be cool too if you're on our side doing the work.
I mean, I'm being semi-sarcastic here, but
Semi-sarcastic life, baby.
What did I tell you?
God damn it.
What did I tell you?
Damn it. What Tom is actually saying is they're winning the meme wars.
Yes, we are winning the meme war.
That's how infantile his analysis has become. He's always been a crank, but like this is just dumber than normal.
Yep.
And also that they've realized that they've been hitting the racism and misogyny button so many times that like just nobody cares or believes about it.
Yeah.
Because like the evidence for it just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And like this time around, poll after poll says that Bernie Sanders has by far the most support among non-white people in this Democratic primary.
No, they're hopelessly addicted to it now. They're not getting the same high off a regular hit. It's kind of sad, actually.
They have to seek out bigger and bigger and more insane arguments.
Yeah, like Bernie's an anti-Semite.
Yeah, you got to really climb the mountain now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, I wouldn't take it too seriously because anything that goes on online is this kind of weird like simulacra of reality. It's like it's
freaking Matrix.
It's gazing into this weird like a mirror abyss of our reality, but maybe occasionally, like in a Lovecraftian sense, we can sort of pierce that membrane, and Yog Shoggoth sort of will seep into our universe. And
well, I think it's already happened. I think we've already hit that inflection point where the map has become the territory.
And this is the Matrix, and we are all the albino twins.
We are all enlisted in the meme wars, and as Tom said, we're winning the meme wars.
Yep.
I would like to think that I am the Cardassian or whatever.
Merovingian?
Yeah, no, the guy who makes a woman come by giving her a piece of cake or something.
Yeah, he uses the programming of the Matrix to get her off.
I would like to be Neo. He is the central character of the film.
I'm Agent Smith because humanity disgusts me.
Well, last thing I want to say about that is what Tom is saying is Bernie's media strategy is so effective. It's changing the narratives around him. It has his opponents afraid. And he has by far the biggest digital army at his beck and call. It sounds like he should be the nominee then.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's the only guy who could stand a chance against Trump.
Do you not want that digital army, that crack squad who can fight on the meme battlefield that we all know is important? Because there's all those Russian bots we're going to have to contend with. You're telling me you don't want the Bernie army on your side?
Yeah, what are you saying? Pete Buttigieg is losing the meme war, therefore he should get the sympathy vote? He gets a participation.
It really is
trophy.
that. They think that like doing good memes is cheating. It's like, sorry, motherfucker, that's the game. Do not hate the player.
Do you want the Unsullied on your side? These our fans are the Unsullied, and by that I mean they've never had sex. All right, should we go back into the debate?
Yeah.
All right, so obviously we covered the debate. I hope you all watched our live stream of it. It was really...
If you did not watch it, we have taken down your names. There was a sign-in sheet.
No, it was against hype because most of the ones we've done have been absolutely excruciating to get through, and like I don't even know where I am by like hour 2, and I just blank out. I forget everything. It feels horrible.
Real dog shit.
This most recent one though was actually entertaining. It was good. I thought it was intelligently moderated by PBS and Judy Woodruff and Politico. But like most importantly, I don't know, it's because there was fewer of them, but they got into it. They actually had a few like.
I think the smaller stage definitely helped that.
We had we had a few kinetic exchanges. So
and like shout out also to the fucking moderators for having a question about climate change in the first half an hour as opposed to the last 5 fucking minutes.
I mean, they asked the first question was about impeachment. Thankfully, they did not spend too much time on that, and like more importantly, they did not spend the first like 40 minutes talking about healthcare in like the most interminable way imaginable. But let's get into some of the free fire, the highlights. I mean, I think Matt, when you were watching it, you were going bananas because you were like, "Fucking bridge too far, Hackman Kane. Yep. This is my thesis.
Yes.
This is my thesis. Closing statement.
This is what I've been dreaming of hoping to happen has finally occurred, which is because like a lot of people have said that Bernie should be tougher on maybe Warren at one. It changes. Some people say he should be tougher to Warren. Some people say he should be tougher to Biden or Mayor Pete. And what they don't realize is that it's well established that while negative campaigning is effective in lowering the favorability of your opponent, it also lowers your favorability. And in a two-way race, that could be a play that makes sense because if you lower theirs more than yours, it's a net plus. But in a multi-party candidate race like this, there's a third person who can benefit from your going negative and who doesn't have to expend anything. And that's why it's tough to know when to throw a punch. And so what I was just hoping is for somebody else to throw the first punch so that Bernie could kind of rise above it. And then that's exactly what happened because Warren knows that Mayor Pete is the reason she's going down. And so she decided she needed to stanch the fucking bleeding by going after Mayor Pete on the question of fundraisers and stuff and donors. And it started this glorious slap fight between Pete and Warren that Bernie just got to come in at the end of and like reassert his grander, socialist narrative. It was exactly how I would have drawn it up.
Bernie had definitely the line of the night. He put down Pete so beautifully, and Biden with the thing about like he's like Joe's got 44 billionaires. And he's like Pete's a bright, and he said he's a bright, energetic, competitive kid.
Yeah, he's good.
And he goes, he's got 39. And he goes, if he wants to compete with Joe in that, I say let him have at it. And like that was the moment where you saw like people have like slowed down the video of that. And you can see Pete's face try to curl into a smile. And then people have zoomed in on his hand under the thing. And you see it just, his nails are digging into his palm. Blood is shooting out of it.
He's literally doing the Arthur meme.
Yeah.
He's doing the clenched fist meme.
He was doing the Arthur meme.
Oh God, it's beautiful.
And as Felix said, and others have pointed out, immediately after the debate was over, he went to Los Angeles City Pound and just he went ham. He went reverse John Wick at the Pound once that debate was over.
No, he fucking stole the fucking 50 caliber machine gun from a local army depot and just went to town at the Pound.
What I liked about all the anti-negative scraps with Mayor Pete is even people like Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar look at him and think, "Who is this rat face? Fuck.
What are you doing here?
Do you think you are?"
Amy destroyed Pete even more than Bernie did. Like, Bernie got one really good line against Pete, but Amy, the dragon, ate his fucking bones on stage.
Well, that's because she knows that's where her lane is.
Yeah.
That the thing standing between her and the top tier is Mayor Pete, and she could be the one. And you know what? You see the press. They're ready to pass the baton. They realize, oh, shit, we inflated Mayor Pete maybe a month too early. He can't withstand this much pressure. We need one more to tag in at the end. And who's left? It's fucking Amy.
Last one standing.
The last lady standing.
Genuinely good line from Amy Klobuchar, saying something along the lines of to Mayor Pete, "Far be it from me to denigrate a local official."
Oh,
Ice.
and she was just like, Pete was like, if you want someone to win in a blue guy to win in a red state, I'm your man. And then Amy Klobuchar was like, "You did try that,
And you got your ass
washed."
kicked. He lost by 25%. He got destroyed in a statewide race, which is why he's running for president, because he cannot win a statewide race in Indiana.
So yeah, like I've been saying for a while now that like the last couple debates, the media, like even before the debates, they just like they wrote the pieces. Is this Amy Klobuchar's moment?
Yeah.
And now
the moderates are crying out for a new champion.
And now they have it, and to the extent of whether it's real or not, doesn't.
Oh,
really
but you got to think Biden is also in Amy's way, isn't he?
Oh yeah, but
I mean,
like,
he's still sucking up a good amount of oxygen. In the
it's
room.
true, but I think like if you're that far back, I think you have to have more narrow focus on doing something like surprising in Iowa, and Mayor Pete is more of an obstacle than Biden.
Depends what polls you believe, but they're both. It's a 4-car pileup in Iowa right now, and. I mean, I think Amy just senses that weakness.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Out of
like, you get a couple weeks of good press, and then the sharks come out. It happened to Warren. It happened to fucking Kamala back in February. It's happening to Mayor Pete now.
And by the way, Warren going at Pete over the Wine Cave fundraiser was probably the worst fucking thing she could have attacked him over, because she's just as vulnerable and all the same shit.
Yep.
And then it came out today that she's doing fundraisers where people got like $1,000 bottles of wine as like a gift.
And of course, she did most of that in her Senate races, which she could be like, that's technically not my presidential race. But of course, she capitalized her presidential race with $10 million from her last Senate campaign, which included big ticket fundraisers. It's like, if you're going to go purity politics on fucking fundraisers and donors, there's only one person who looks good that's the fucking terrain, and that's motherfucking Bernie, because there's no secret wine bottles handed out. There's no horse caves or wine caves. There's nothing but small donations.
It's like Warren sitting next to Bernie. Bernie is in is in the bunker that Iran is building a nuke in right now, and Elizabeth Warren is in just a glass.
Yep.
Just like a fishbowl.
She's in a teacup waiting to get destroyed by a light breeze.
I guess what I'm thinking is, okay, it's less than 50 days to Iowa, so if you're staking it on Iowa, you're probably sweating right now if you're still in single digits. More of an impetus to start throwing some punches. But the treatment of Biden has still been pretty genteel so far.
I feel like there's a sense that his base, like Bernie's, is relatively immovable, whereas all these other people seem to have the classic characteristics of the flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And that means that those voters are really up for grabs. Their being for Warren or for being for Bate really doesn't indicate where they're going to end up. It indicates that they're up for grabs. And so you go for whoever represents that vote in the moment. I feel like they're looking at the Biden and the Bernie bases as more stable, less worth going after.
Maybe they also look at Biden and think, what I've thought for the past year, that he's just on a downward trajectory. No point in even
And
going
you
after
look,
it.
and like, because part of the reason that he's on the downward trajectory is because he appears feeble, confused, not up to it. That if you're the person who puts the dagger in, then you look like, it's like when Bruce Dern kills John Wayne in The Cowboy.
Spoilers.
It's like you can't be the good guy in that situation. You're going to look like a vampire,
Yeah.
because people have good feelings for whatever reason about Biden, thanks to the Onion or thanks to Obama Halo. They like Biden, and they don't like the idea of people being mean to the old man. They're not going to vote for him, maybe, and his numbers are going to keep going down, hopefully, inshallah. But you don't also want to see him get publicly owned. Like Julian Castro had a perfectly good own on him.
Yeah, no,
and
people
his
said that was
absolute
too
inability
mean.
to grasp even the basics of healthcare policy. But the universal conclusion was that he was a fucking asshole. And his numbers, it's not like, the press says one thing and then the public says a different one. His numbers didn't go anywhere either. So there's no percentage in going after Biden.
Well, let's take a closer look at the Klobmentum, the Kloboom,
The Klobo.
the Klobo.
Klobo.
This comes courtesy of Matt Iglesias at Vox.
Of course it does.
Amy Klobuchar deserves a closer look from electability-minded Democrats.
Fuck off. Bernie is doing as well as anyone in the head-to-head. Shut the fuck up.
I love following the Vox guys because it is so funny to watch them just like teeter-totter back and forth, trying to cover all their bases so that they can always look
They'll always
smart.
look right, yes.
They can always look right and smart and cool,
Yep.
but it's just like
Because they have a finger in every pot.
it's all just one big Mexican standoff. It's like the last scene of Reservoir Dogs
Yeah.
if you were pointing two guns at your own head. It's so funny. All right, so
And
again,
by the way, 2016 should have killed the notion of electability forever.
oh my god, yeah,
It's like that was the number one argument for fucking Hillary was that we can't have a radical. She's more experienced. People know her, and it led to her. Trump's too dangerous to not beat, and it fucking failed. So you know it doesn't mean anything because everyone who was convinced what it meant didn't know.
So here's Matty. He goes, over the past year, I've heard from lots of Democrats who say they're primarily interested in beating President Donald Trump. And if that is sincerely is your interest, if that is
I'm
sincere,
interested in breathing every day and drinking liquid, eating food.
and if that is
You
sincere,
say you're interested in drinking liquid, but I've seen you do it. You're a tyro.
if that
This is
is
a man's game, Matt. Not for children.
I can drink any kind of liquid you want, buddy.
Yeah, I got a liquid.
all right,
for you.
yeah, you want to go to the bathroom real quick?
No, thank you.
And if that sincerely is your interest, I hope you saw Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota on the debate stage Thursday night. In the earlier rounds, Klobuchar tended to get lost among other middle-of-the-pack candidates. She doesn't have a goofy outsider message like entrepreneur Andrew Yang or billionaire Tom Steyer or House Representative Tulsi Gabbard.
Doesn't have the comic effect of Tom Steyer.
What is the goofy outsider fucking appeal of Tom Steyer? I'm a billionaire. I divorced my wife and I have nothing else to do.
No clue.
This is the billionaire equivalent of buying a sports
no,
car.
Here's a better line, though. And she doesn't have a particularly distinctive ideological take.
Yes, she does.
Well, yeah, she absolutely does.
She does. It is there on the alternative.
Yeah.
She is Thatcher reborn. Like, this is the neoliberal capitalist realist president. It will never change.
No, the distinctively ideological take that she has is the one shared by Matt Iglesias and
Of
the
course.
staff of Fox. But she's done well enough in polls. I think she's at 4%
4%.
and fundraising to outlast the likes of Beto O'Rourke, Montana Governor Steve Bullock, who's
Oh,
the other
no.
guy that all the Vox guys were like, why isn't he getting a fairer shake or a better look? John Hickenlooper, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and get up on stage alongside the more widely covered top four candidates. And while she's not an incredible dynamo of charisma,
I mean, she's a dynamo of something when you look at that four-lock vibrate.
she does have a kind of
She could probably
charming...
power a small town.
She does have a kind of charming, dorky Midwestern shtick. And best of all, she really does have a strong electability pitch. And then the electability pitch is just the subhead, Amy Klobuchar is good at winning elections.
You mean in a state that has been traditionally a Democratic stronghold?
Making the case for herself, Klobuchar raised a key question at one point Thursday night for the candidates running. Can you bring in those rural and suburban areas, particularly in the Midwest? As a popular senator from Minnesota, Klobuchar's answer is yes, she can. The fear that haunts Democrats is that even with Trump unpopular, they could beat him by 3 or 4 percentage points in the nationwide vote total and still lose if he does well enough in the Midwest, specifically in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is not Minnesota.
Well, he just goes on to talk
in
all
1960, Hubert Humphrey, when he was running for president, he was considered the third. They called him the third senator from Wisconsin because he was considered an absolute ally on all of the dairy-based issues that came up in the Senate. Not kidding. And he ran in 60 in when there were only a few competitive primaries at a lot of delegates, and it was more of like a show race. And he ran it in 1960 against JFK. There's a great documentary about it called Election. It's short, very, very interesting. And he fucking lost. He got owned by JFK.
In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because there's a lot of Catholics in Milwaukee. He was younger, vigorous, celebrity factor. Who knows? There's not a lot of granular voting data about that era, or polling data.
Oh.
But yeah, the idea that they're going to inherently back you just because you're from the Midwest. It's like we hate Vikings fans.
No, I mean,
They set them on fire sometimes.
Yeah, you all hate each other.
Yeah, every Midwestern state hates the one.
I'm not even going to read.
You know what this is? This is the same article that appears every 4 years when they drag out someone from the Rocky Mountain West or some fucking flannel millionaire from Wisconsin or Ohio or something like that and say, this is it. This is the white people whisperer.
Yeah, no, it's the Tiger Rock for The Simpsons. All of these electability things are just cargo cult, like superstition. Well, she's from here, and we need to get them there. They're next to each other.
Remember,
this is what Iglesias does for the next couple of paragraphs, just talking about Wisconsin and Minnesota.
To refute the argument on its merits, the thing that you always hear about Amy Klobuchar is she can win blue in a purple state, so she can be that senator's whisperer. And to refute that on its merits, the current governor of Vermont is Republican. Vermont is beloved there. Vermont is held out as this left liberal bastion, but it is the same as the rest of America, a crazy grab bag of people with very divergent beliefs.
Bernie defeated a Republican for the House seat.
Yeah, and so you could just as easily say that Bernie has a record of winning statewide elections in a purple state.
Well, the thing is, Minnesota has also not elected not voted for a Republican at the presidential level since I believe 1980, because yes, Minnesota was the only state Mondale carried in 84. So I believe 1980 is the last time Minnesota went to a Republican. No, wait a minute, it wouldn't have been then either. It might be 72. It's not a purple state. It's been trending Republican, but its baseline is a relatively liberal state.
I remember in the mid 2000s, the mid aughts, when the thing the press corps was trying to push was these Rocky Mountain Libertarian Democrats.
They wore bolo ties. That's how you could tell them.
Yeah, that was the thing. And at one point, I read one article from that era, from that horrible, horrible era. I think it was Joe Klein that coined the term King of the Hill Democrat.
Yes, even though every character on that show is a Republican.
Yeah.
And their messiah was Brian Schweitzer, the governor of Montana at the time, who never actually did. He kind of flirted with running for president, never did it. And then his successor, Steve Bullock, tried and failed miserably.
But to your point about how this is all a cargo cult, just you ignore most of this bullshit. I'm not going to read it; it's too boring. But to the idea that this is a cargo cult, listen to this. Earlier this year, 538 computed a popularity above replacement senator score for every member of the upper house. It compares each
Bring it here to my mouth.
It compares each senator's home state favorable rating to the underlying partisan attributes of the state. Number 1 and number 2 are West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Alabama Senator Doug Jones,
Woo-hoo!
who would have run and won in deep red states. Number 3 is Klobuchar, a Democrat who is just really good at making Midwesterners like her.
Not Midwesterners. People in a state that has gone Democrat since fucking Nixon.
And he begins here. If you want a political revolution or to take a shot at imposing a wealth tax on America's billionaires, I like that he splits up the idea of a political revolution, which is that's funny and dismissive. You can be dismissive of, and imposing a wealth tax, which is Warren's signature issue, as two opposing lanes of political interest.
Right.
But then he goes, then probably none of this is very persuasive. Fair enough. But right now, the leader in every poll is former President Joe Biden, who is not promising either of those things. What he is promising instead is something much simpler: to beat Trump and restore basic competence and integrity to government. If that message appeals to you, and clearly it does appeal to a lot of Democrats, you owe it to yourself to ask if Klobuchar isn't a more effective vehicle for that message. She's younger. She doesn't have the specific baggage of having supported the Iraq War, unlike myself, Matt Iglesias. She doesn't have the specific baggage of Hunter Biden. Her policy ideas are broadly continuous with Barack Obama's, just like Biden's, and her pitch is electability, just like Biden's. But unlike Biden, she has a record of winning landslide elections in a Midwestern state. You could do a lot worse than that.
The last two I looked it up. The last two Republicans to win the presidential primary, to win the state of Minnesota were Richard Nixon and Eisenhower. That's it. It's like you're acting like it's fucking Indiana or something, which is she also likes to do because she's like, Mayor Pete hasn't won in the Midwest, but I have. Indiana is a wildly more Republican state than Minnesota is. They're acting like they're all the same because they're largely white people, but that's one of the weird things about the upper Midwest is that there's this odd spine of white people on both sides of Lake Michigan in Minnesota and Wisconsin that are demographically identical to all the Republican white people around them, but that vote Democrat. And no one knows to this day why that is. I'm not kidding. But it changes the entire thing, and you're not talking about everywhere else. You're certainly talking about Ohio, where fucking Trump just romped to victory, or Michigan.
Can't you make most of those same facile arguments about Mayor Pete? He's from Midwest, therefore he win Midwest.
Yeah, but he never won a Midwest. He didn't win a statewide race there. It's all bullshit. Bernie won all those primaries easily.
Yep.
He won the Michigan primary against all prognostications.
He's going to win them again, too.
Except one.
Except you. Yes. You were the only one.
All right.
This is a segue.
This is unrelated to the debate, but when we were taking questions and trivia in the post game, I rewatched some of it, and there was a spate of questions about this that we missed, and they were all asking, how do we feel about starring in what is now an award-winning video game? I'm speaking of Disco Elysium, which won like Indie Game of the Year at, I don't know, the Gaming Awards. It's like the
Gaming Awards?
The gaming.
Yeah, it won the gaming?
It won the gaming.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, and the guys, like, they went on stage and gave a fucking speech where they thanked Marx and Engels for giving them the idea to do the game. And so, yeah, no, we had sort of, I'll just say, leading parts in that video game.
No, we started it.
Yeah, we were the stars, the voices in that video game. So, what do you guys feel about that? Because I have a very specific feeling that I'm going to share in a second.
I obviously feel dirty and wrong. I mean, I guess just like I wanted to help them out, and I was flattered by their fandom, but it was deeply conflicting to participate in a video gaming enterprise. But apparently people like it, and they think that it's relatively, as games go, engaging and interesting. So I'll take that as a small consolation for violating all of my principles.
It's deeply gratifying for me to gain recognition for my good work at being a celebrity. Hey, keep them coming.
I'm kind of blown away because as soon as the game came out, it's been immensely well received, and I think it's really cool what the creators have done with this. They've been working on this game for years and years and years, and everyone says it's like really fun and smart and incredibly layered and deeply written and textured and everything like that. As soon as we move in a gaming PC to our new office, I'd like to stream it on Twitch. I'd like to give it a shot for you guys on Twitch. But how do I actually feel about it? I feel that maybe we should have asked for any money at all or signed any sort of documents or paper business and just asked for anything at all to do this video game.
I assumed like anyone who's going to ask us to be in a video game, like when they say video game, it's like an 8-bit like fucking app-based thing that like people share for
Depression Quest 2.
Exactly. And then it comes out and it's like, oh, this is an actual game that people are buying and playing. And I'm standing here like a schmuck, and my beak ain't wet. I got a dry beak over here.
You guys didn't ask for anything? I asked for a bottle of water, a Diet Red Bull, a third beverage, and a bagel lightly toasted with egg on it. and
coming out ahead in this deal.
and I got them all. Another great deal.
No, my beak is bone dry. Because, when it was pitched to it, they were like, we are some socialists from Estonia who would love
exactly.
you and would like you to be in our video game. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to be in a video game. Sure. I'll for a day's work could be best. But, now it's fucking, I don't know, what are they selling this game at? $70 a pop?
Mafago!
Blowing out the Steam, servers, people downloading this shit. I'd like a little...
Yeah, we got to get a little
Taste.
taste.
One
We got to
little
get a
taste.
little grease.
Do any of you guys know how to play how I can play this game?
It's available on Steam, but you need a PC.
Oh, okay. So I cannot
Yeah.
play it.
I've got the Prima strategy guide.
You do?
Yeah, so I can.
Do you want to? We want to come over and we'll just grind through a few levels.
Sure, we'll do it on the stream.
Yeah.
But genuinely, though, congratulations to the Disco Elysium. The game does look fantastic, and I am very gratified to have volunteered to be a part of it. Also, here's just another bit of self-congratulation. Boys, we were in the New Yorker Christmas poem this year.
Huzzah.
Otter.
Ian Fraser
Ian motherfucking Fraser.
gave us a shout-out in the New
A
Yorker. This
salad
year's
and scrambled eggs.
Alumnus of Army Man, one of the low-key most influential comedy publications of the last 40 years.
A zine.
Yes, one of the OG zines. Shut up. It's a zine. Don't turn into Will. Zine is his thing.
We made the annual New Yorker Christmas poem alongside such luminaries as Lizzo and Billie Eilish.
Woo! We made it.
All right. Well, here's actually, I'm gonna give you guys some deep secret lore here. This is super embarrassing, and this is like all of the lunatics out there who despise me. I'm handing them a loaded gun with this, but to them I say, shoot, you will only kill a man. This is the second New Yorker Christmas poem that I, Will Menaker, am referenced in.
Oh
Really?
no! Oh no!
I'm not gonna make it easy for you guys. I will just say it is one of them that was written by the Roger Angel, the great New Yorker baseball
Yes.
writer.
Boys of Summer.
Yeah, he used to do the Christmas poem every year, and I get a shout out in one of them documenting my arrival on the scene. I will just say during the 1980s.
I know which one it is.
track
I know
that
which
down.
one it is. 1989, the poem, The Dumb Baby Who Sucks. That was you.
Fatality.
There we go.
You've been roasted.
Like I said, I'll hand everyone else a gun to shoot at me. But yeah, maybe I'm sure eagle-eyed listeners will be tracking that down shortly, unless of course my parents lied to me about that, in which case we'll all look stupid. But
we were all the baby from the diaper commercial.
yeah. All right. So here's this is some fun. It's like getting to the end of the year. We've been talking a lot about the dummycrats.
Oh, I'm sick of these
The
guys.
fucking dummycrats. But you know what?
Liberals.
Let's just check in on our boy because, God, he has had some. By our boy, I mean my president and yours, Donald Trump, because he's said some great quotes.
He's
over the
not.
last
He's
week.
reacting very poorly to this whole impeachment thing, which really is all the evidence you need that he is a moron. Because everyone with any two brain cells can see that nothing is going to happen. He will be acquitted
So
in the Senate, but he still can't stop posting about it.
These are three quotes, once again documented by Daniel Dale, the guy who follows all of this shit and really minds most of like the really good shit out there. Which I was thinking about this the other day when we saw Trump at CPAC. Even I was kind of blown away by how fucking insane everything he was saying was. And
No,
how,
he
like,
was on one.
It was just like, and like you, but apparently, like Daniel Dale, or like the other guys who just follow every single public event he gives and just like documents every bit of it. I mean, like it all comes back to the same shit. Like, but you never ever see this on TV.
Yeah.
On like network news. I mean, like Fox, that's one thing. But I really do think that like the mainstream media is going out of their way to make it seem like he's less insane. Yeah,
because now he's president.
Well, yeah, now he's president. And I think they're really kind of like, as much as they dislike him or like are against him, I'm sure like
They can't destabilize
ideologically
things
or
by really
pragmatically
underlying how insane he is.
like exactly, like they still want to keep like the ship of state essentially upright by not putting on TV his
mental
his
breakdowns.
babblings, like
He's
just
losing. He is just an absolute maniac.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
I think I've mentioned this to you guys before off mic, but I would just like to say I would love to have Daniel Dale on the show only to just ask him how doing this coverage has made him feel.
Yeah.
And maybe just buy him a drink and be like,
I can't. I'm
thank
imagining
you for
him.
staring.
I'm
into
imagining
those-
him after Trump leaves office, just like at a loss. And just like going to nursing homes to just randomly transcribe conversations between people as on Alzheimer's ward just to feel normal.
Because as you said, Will, seeing one Trump speech, seeing 3/4 of one Trump
yeah,
speech.
no, we left halfway through it. We
was
couldn't even
the
take it.
acute feeling of an astral drill just going
Yeah.
straight into your
You feel
temple.
if you're in a room with Trump just stroking out in front of you, and the crowd, people just eating it up.
He came
You
out on stage
really
and
feel
kissed the
like
American
reality
flag.
has
Yes.
slipped again.
No, yeah,
and
no.
for Dale to have watched literally every Trump speech for going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just salute to a hero.
I
Watching
mean,
that,
I barely watch him at all, and I find myself will just feel, I'm at a restaurant and I go to refill my soda, and I'm just like, Coca-Cola, we love it, folks, don't we? It's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, we love it.
I
How
watch
the
it-
hell would you do that if every day you're watching him? And I only really pay attention to him I try not to pay too much attention, but I'm still just like walking around all day just like, folks, it's pathetic. Like a dog. Like a dog.
No, I mean, watching him speak at CPAC, I felt like Sam Neill at the end of In the Mouth of Madness, just laughing while losing my mind.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into just a couple quick hits from our president and yours. Trump says F-35 pilots are better looking than Tom Cruise, who is a good guy with equal faces, but better bodies. He says the F-35 pilots are as handsome as Tom Cruise, but with better bodies.
I love that save at the end, like midway through the sentence. He's like, "Oh, is this too mean to Tom?" Like,
He's
I
a
guess-
good guy.
am I
He's
gonna
got a
get some
great
blowback
face.
on this
The face, honestly equal, but the bodies even better. The bodies are better. Look at the bodies. Oh my God, they're so precious. Look at the precious bodies.
I also like that he's like Tom Cruise, who is a good guy. Yeah, that's that thing that we all know about Tom Cruise. He's widely regarded
The guy
as
with
a
slaves.
as a good guy.
The guy who
who's
literally has slaves.
pleasant to be around.
He has slaves? What?
on fucking Sea Org.
Oh,
People-
those aren't slaves.
Well, okay, if they could leave anytime, I'm sure they could leave anytime they want.
Well, they signed the contract, man.
Yeah,
They signed a contract.
Yeah.
A billion-year service contract.
So again, like remember
They got
you know,
the better bodies. The faces, though, are good.
when he
They're
talks
equal.
about the beautiful, handsome generals, is that when he's talking about the F-35 pilots who are like they're like Tom Cruise except tall and like well hung.
I just love like the words he uses, like equal face. Is like he is like Danny Zuko and the guys in Greece talking about like fucking Olivia Newton-John. Like they're just imagining, like, oh boy, when I see one of those F-35 pilots, oh my God.
A real tragedy that they have those beautiful faces because they're all going to get decapitated by the malfunction F-35.
Their beautiful faces will get ripped off by the ejection mechanism on the F-35.
Just scrape. Oh, we miscalibrated the angle, and you just scraped your face off on the edge of the window.
All right, this is another good one. Later on, Trump says that you used to press a dishwasher once and it was an explosion. And 5 minutes later, steam would come out.
Never used a dishwasher in his life.
Now you
He's
press.
seen them on television.
Trump says that you used to press a dishwasher once and it was an explosion, and 5 minutes later, steam would come out.
Yeah.
Now you press it 12 times. Women tell me.
You know, they'll just come up to me crying. They come up to me crying and they say, Mr. President, I pressed the button and it doesn't do anything. There's only 4 drops of water, Mr. President, please. They're crying, folks. They're crying to me.
You used to press a dishwasher and it was an explosion that would 5 minutes later, dishes done, steam coming out.
Like with every one of these things, he is describing a commercial he saw in 1985. That's it.
Finally, this is my favorite. Referencing his own bathroom tweet, he says to the crowd of hogs who are oinking for him, sinks, showers, and what goes with a sink and a shower? The crowd.
Toilets!
The president. I love to
Just in a crowd yelling toilets at your commander-in-chief.
I love to yell toilets.
I love politics. Politics is where you get in a room with your fellow uncles and yell toilets at the president.
So the crowd, toilets. The president responds, 10 times, right? 10 times, he adds. Not me, of course, not me, but you.
You people, you take giant dumps. I've seen them. I see the way you eat. You're just disgusting. You take 3-pound dumps. The toilet can never handle it. Not me. Small ones. Small, tiny bumps. Little bitty ones.
He shits like a
Little bitty
rabbit.
bumps. Little bitty poops. Little bitty poops. Beep, 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 bong. I love the fact that Trump hates his supporters more than every liberal. Like, these guys spend their days stewing about all the liberals who look down on them, and none of them hate them with the visceral, insectile loathing that Trump does. Like, imagine Trump having to go to the bathroom in the homes of one of his supporters in, like, Ohio. You know, and I'm not saying like I'm not being classist. Like, they would be a fine home, you know, like a split level in a suburb like in Mason, in Butler County, Ohio, and just like go to the regular normal human bathroom. He would be like fucking Ewan McGregor in Train Spotting, just like repressing his gorge to not vomit around the disgusting pig people that he would never touch in a million years. Amazing. And they love him for it because they know deep down that's all they are. And they love Trump because he's not a fucking phony. He will he will tell them to their faces that they're pigs. And they'll be like, thank you for being honest for once. The first person in my life to be honest to my face and tell me that I'm a disgusting little hog.
He'd like my bathroom's nice. He'd like my bathroom.
Is it gold? I don't think he would.
Well, no,
he has a literal golden toilet.
In the White House?
In the penthouse of his house.
Well, what does he do in the White House? Save it?
I think he probably somebody made it gold.
Somebody made it gold.
They spray painted it or something.
There'd be a receipt for it.
They went out to fucking Ace Hardware and got some fucking spray paint.
They liberated Saddam Hussein's golden toilet and installed it right off the Oval Office.
Might be.
I'm thinking about, if I ever had to have Trump over my apartment, I'd be nervous as hell. So I'd be showing him all the lights and stuff and thinking, he thinks this sucks. He's just criticizing me in his head.
Well, I
Just
mean, your
looking
toilet does
down.
take many times to flush. That's the problem.
Actually, that's true.
That's a low flow thing. Well, that's what he's talking
That's
about.
what he's talking
That's
about.
what he's talking about.
15 times.
So, that's why I'd have him over to say, Mr. President, take a look at this. This is an outrage. Are you going to do something about this, sir?
I remember years ago seeing some fucking pig man from the Wall Street Journal editorial page on Bill Maher's show. What is this? He's this like sort of gap-toothed fucking little oinker. Oh, John Fund.
Oh, yes.
John Fund. And he was talking about why he's a conservative, and like he just like to illustrate like his differences. He was just like, I don't think you people and again, this is a guy who's like from the upper crust of like Manhattan.
Of course, they all are.
Elite. And he was like, I don't think you understand, and I like conservatives like aren't so evil or bad. We just we want to be left alone by the government, and and the example he used to illustrate this point is he was like, we don't want people telling us how much water we can put in our john when we flush our toilets. And I was just like, just thinking about that's how he thinks about the people he's deigning to speak for.
Yeah.
Is just guys taking massive
shits.
dumps, and they're just having to keep flushing and flushing and flushing.
See,
because
the pig
government
men, they go and they snuffle at the trough at your old country buffet, or they go to a fast food restaurant and just stuff their disgusting faces, and that creates huge protein-rich dumps that the low-flow toilet simply can't handle. No, I just realized that the reason that Trump is popular, and the reason that the final battle for America's soul will be between him and Bernie, is because Bernie and Trump are the only nationally known politicians who do not condescend to the American people. Every single other politician on both party sides is at some level being like, well, you're all right. Hi, you're the pigs. Hello, pigs. Hello, nice little piggies. You're very
that'll do, pig.
Look at how clean your hooves are. Oh, you're standing on two legs. Very impressive.
Ooh.
And at a certain
Very
level,
curly
when
tail
that's
today.
They all think that they're the spider who can write.
and everybody getting that, eventually it's just like, shut the fuck up. Be fucking real for a minute. Quit lying to me. And Trump is not condescending to them. You people love your Bible, don't you? You love guns, don't you, you little piggies? Your turds are so huge. Look how big your turds are. And then, every other Democrat, including especially fucking Hillary Clinton, got poleaxed by him because their entire politics is based on condescension to middle-class American families.
Hardworking
Hardworking
families.
Americans. It's all like, I'm a fucking trash pig. You would need to admit it. And Bernie is the only one because he doesn't use the fucking malarkey, to borrow a phrase from Joe Biden, and speaks to like visceral class interests. He's like going underneath the politesse and like all the manneristic bullshit. And the only two politicians who really do that are him and Trump, which is why they need to finally confront one another in an apocalyptic showdown.
It's going to happen. All right. So moving on from Trump, I'd like to close out this episode and really one of our episodes of the year with checking in with our old friend Rod Dreher, who does not disappoint and continues to have
He's a king. He's a
some
pimp.
of the most normal thoughts possible.
Black Rod.
So I got two Rod takes to close out the year with here. One's a bit longer, one's a bit shorter. You want to do the longer one first?
Let's do the short
Short
one.
one
Short one first? All right.
I do think, if memory serves, one of our last episodes from last year was the
Was a
excellent Rod reading about the bimbofication of the Western
Oh,
male.
yes. We were all going to get big bimbo boobs.
Which was one of my personal
Which led
favorites.
to some of the most disturbing fan art ever made.
The most awesome fan art ever
Yeah, let's
made.
see more of that. Hopefully, this will generate just equally as disturbing.
It was mostly just how attracted I was to the Virgil bimbo, I have to admit. It was not cool. I was not happy about it.
Keep it going, folks. You'll convert him eventually. All right, so this is Rod Dreher. This is the shorter one. It's the Ed Ogeron rule for start. What is it? The LSU head coach? How do you say his name?
Orgone energy?
Yeah, the Ed Orgone rule
Yeah.
for sartorial normalcy.
Shut up. Fuck off.
Okay, the phrase
Using the word sartorial is not normal. Shut the fuck up.
the rule for sartorial normalcy.
Okay, Quentin Crisp. Let's hear from some normal man about normal clothing.
And believe me, what comes after is some very, very normal thoughts.
Hell yes. I'm so happy.
So, all right. This begins with Rod just begins this piece. Okay, I'm ready for it. And he spells it with a capital R. Okay, I'm ready for reaction now. And please make it anti-capitalist. This ad, okay, so he's like, oh, anti-capitalist. Like, what could he be referring to? Like, pharmaceutical companies, Wall Street, hedge fund, whatever.
Commanding heights.
Yeah. This ad for a dress for boys makes me think that
Oh, boy.
makes me think that anything to the left of LSU Tigers coach Ed Orgone on the masculinity spectrum ought to be sent to Siberia or at least Long Island. So
Yes.
you're talking about
The fancy
yourself,
lad who
Rod,
made a bouillabaisse for his hillbilly relatives.
which they poured down the toilet and
Because
had
it
to
looked
flush
like-
15 times.
Because it looked like a devil's brew.
They said, I'll never forget the line where he spent the whole day making them a nice bouillabaisse.
Yep.
And then they spit it into the toilet and they go, I prefer food from a countrified cook. They probably just came from some nice 5-star restaurant. They probably just don't like him.
Yep.
Like Rod, I'm sorry, on the masculinity spectrum,
Yes.
is getting sent to the gender re-education
Absolutely.
camp.
He
For
needs
sure.
to be regenderfied
And like
post-haste.
I don't follow college football, but like is the LSU coach very
I don't
right wing?
know.
I don't know. He's
I
probably
don't-
just like
He's probably got like some of those epic fucking quotes that end up in Facebook memes and
Okay.
shit about.
So then, like,
you know.
then he has like an ad here of like a teenage boy in a sort of a blue long sleeve dress, and then Rod in italics says, "That's a teenage boy." If you don't believe me, the coding on the image says the boy's long sleeve dress, little cobalt front .jpeg. The mom who sent me that thing is disgusted that gender ideology is now creeping into everyday shopping for her kids. Woke capitalism, people. I'm telling you, in our consumerist republic, big business is a greater threat to normalcy than big government. Which is funny because he's just sort of admitting, like, where are you gonna go, Rod?
Yeah.
What do you
Well-
want to do?
Well, that's the thing.
What do you want?
Is that this is a thing that's been like implicit in capitalism, obviously since it was invented, but that it was for a long time they were able to sort of elide it. But yeah, there's a fundamental conflict between maintaining traditional gender roles and family structures and capitalism, because capitalism will fucking dissolve all social order. Marx saw that fucking 1948.
So he goes here. Needless to say, we won't be buying anything from primary.com at all. Thing is, the clothes aren't bad. This is how the business presents itself on the website. And I guess there's reasons to love Primary. Kids choose favorite colors from an entire rainbow and are celebrated for who they are on the inside and outside. And then he goes, it was founded by, and he uses scare quotes, two moms, Galen and Christina.
Galen Urso.
And he goes, yeah, I guess. And then from an ad from the site here, like our story part, it says, a basic story. We're two moms who had been shopping for kids' clothes for over 12 years, but still didn't have a go-to for awesome basics at reasonable prices. So many things didn't make sense. And then he goes, yeah, you know what else doesn't make sense? You rich capitalist women normalizing putting boys in dresses. Here's a crude. Okay, this is the nut graph here. Here's a crude but effective rule of thumb. When trying to decide how to dress your son, imagine asking Coach O what he thinks of the outfit. Hey, Coach O, does my boy look good in this? That'll stop every bit of this crap cold. So, when you're thinking about dressing your son, be sure to use this mental exercise. Imagining in your head, asking a football coach, hey, Coach, how does my boy look hot?
Hey, Coach, did you see where the defensive coordinator took that 12-year-old? I heard something in the locker room, Coach. What was that? Where are you going? Coach, where are you going? Coach, come back. No, at the end of the day, the thing is like these guys want to like recapture like anti-capitalism and then like rebrand it as a way to win the culture war. But I'm sorry, that's like the class first shit cuts both ways. It cuts against the identitarian mania and the desire to make like personal grievance or like identity based political appeals the center of your politics. Yeah, that can't work. You have to go with class. But that means these finicky bitches like Rod Dreher, I'm sorry, you can't have a movement based on fucking right wing culture war bullshit. It has to be based on class interest first and foremost. And that's the only way you're going to actually get the numbers that could actually push back on this. Otherwise, all you're going to do is slowly sign off on fascism while shaking your head at all the cultural stuff. And then honestly, at the end of the day, using the drift of culture as a excuse for why when they start fucking killing people, you're not going to feel too bad about it.
Speaking of the drift of culture, this brings me to Rod's next piece, which is headline: Porn is demonic, says top occultist. I would like to note about this piece. It was filed on the American Conservative website, the little dateline here, at 4:52 a.m.
Rod, on several.
So
Not
I mean,
even
I'm
on one.
gonna skip the beginning of the article because he just sort of summarizes like a whole bunch of articles about like why pornography isn't free speech and should be banned by the government, by people like Matthew Schitz and Sohrab Amari, but it was boring. Who gives a shit? Goes on and on and on. And he just says, read the whole thing. It's important. You might be thinking, no wonder these three guys are so against porn. They're all three conservative Catholics. Well, have I got something for you? A reader sent this jaw-dropping exchange from the Ecosophia blog, which is written by the occultist and authority on esotericism, John Michael Greer. I've cited Greer from time to time in this space when he was writing the Archdruid Report blog. We are very, very different people in terms of our religious commitments. He's a polytheistic pagan. I'm an Orthodox Christian. But he writes some of the most...
we've adopted 15 kids. We got to make it work.
We have to live for a month in a haunted house in order to get the will.
I hate to tell Rod, but the Archdruid blog is a blog I've been writing in character for my D&D character for the last 10 years, so you can't take any of that stuff as true.
He goes, but he writes some of the most interesting stuff on the internet. This piece is definitely that. In it, Greer tells a reader that pornography is demonic, not symbolically demonic, but actually a tool of evil spirits, and offers him pagan spiritual advice for conquering it. Once a week, Greer takes questions from his readers. On Monday, a reader wrote to say that he was struggling with a demon of pornography. The anonymous reader follows up on the post he wrote the previous week, in which he said, I've been doing some journaling on my porn use. I've been doing some scrapbooking on my porn use.
Yeah.
But my subconscious seems determined that it is a major source of my issues, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. When I asked why I use it, the first thing came into my head was because I tell you to. I mean, I use it to masturbate. I use it
Yeah,
when
that's
I'm
number
horny.
one reason.
This sort of thing has never come up during journaling and felt rather alien to me. Is this journaling where he's just like writes stuff down and he's like asking his own brain questions and seeing what comes out?
It's like
first?
remote viewing.
So, like remote viewing.
Yeah.
Because I told you to. Okay. Greer told him that yes, this sounds like a malign spirit. Well, this week the man was back and said to Greer of the malign spirit, "It seems to be hammering home on a few points, all of which seem intended to do one of a few things: break me down so I can't resist it, keep me sexually aroused so I feel the need for porn, make the rest of my life horrible so I have no real reason to fight it, or keep me from making it harder for myself to access porn. My life is currently a mess. You mentioned last week something about how demonic obsession and about how victims aren't entirely sane. I've been questioning my sanity for a while now. This is part of why I picked up journaling. So it may fit me. Does this sound like a case for me?" I'm going on here. You mentioned last week it likely feeds on me during orgasm. Would you mind elaborating what you meant by that? I've been looking at the no-fap porn-free communities online and find a lot of people describe porn as a demonic force which takes over their lives. Nearly everyone clarifies it's a metaphor, and one of the things in which the spirit is trying to do is question my sanity whenever I place close enough attention to notice it. I'm just going to give you some of the answers. Okay, where he goes.
It's always, when we do Rod pieces, the thing that I always have to remind myself through it is that he's not using like a metaphorical device. He's talking about a literal demon, like an entity from another plane.
Like
He's talking about
a guy with horns, jumps around, has a little fork.
He also talks about demons like he's some guy who works at Home Depot. Yeah, that sounds like a classic demon. You're gonna want to go. You're gonna want to go get the 3 7/8 drill for that one. Here, let me take you over there.
Yeah, to the trepanning station. So this is just some of the replies. This is just one I want to read.
So those quotes were all from
from someone asking
questions.
No. This is a guy asking questions of the Archdruid.
Okay,
describing
this is the Archdruid's
their demon
response?
problem. This is just one of the this is the Archdruids.
Well, it's not a problem for them. Like that's the thing you want. You want demons, right?
Well, see, this is what I'm trying to resolve.
Like the Archdruid guy, he does believe in the demons are real in the sense Rod does, but he believes them in like a different way because he's not a Christian. But he does say here, and I think this is important, orgasm takes place on the etheric as well as the material plane.
Yes,
true.
And just as you ejaculate on the physical plane, you extrude a certain amount of etheric substance, the substance of the life force, on the etheric plane.
So orgone energy.
There's a ghost nut?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Yes. If you're having sex with another person, that's not a problem because the other person's body absorbs your etheric substance, just as you absorb the substance the other person extrudes. One of the reasons lovers so often feel nourished and healed by lovemaking is that each of them has taken in some of the other's life force, which can then flow through the subtle body and fill in where there is a shortage in masturbation. There isn't anyone else to absorb the etheric substance, and so a noxious spirit can dine on it. Thus, the feeling of weakness and depression so many people experience after masturbation.
So when you come, that's like leaving trash out for raccoons.
Yeah, exactly.
So demons swallow. That's what we know definitively. Demons swallow.
Yeah, but the etheric nut, not the material nut.
Right. That goes under your sock.
So he goes here. This is back to Rod now. The reader and Greer continue their exchange. Do I even need to encourage you to read the whole thing?
No, you don't.
I repeat, John Michael Greer is not a Catholic priest or an evangelical pastor, but a practicing pagan cleric. You don't have to believe in etheric substance or share all his religious beliefs, but as an Orthodox Christian, I have no trouble at all believing that evil, discarnate entities feed spiritually on people who are in sexual bondage.
I love that Rod is an Orthodox Christian and is reading the blog of an archmage druid and is just like, yeah, game recognized game.
See, this is what's fucking with me is because I mean, I'm not obviously a theologian, but I'm relatively sure that the conventional Christian argument about paganism is that it is all demonic, is that all spirits are demonic, all spiritual shit is demonic, all pagan religions, everything that they worship is demons. All of it. So he can't say, because like, I saw the headline to this, and I assumed he found some guy on Twitter who's like on the internet who's like, "Yep, take it from me, the Archdruid, demon is full of porn is full of demons, and that's awesome. We're taking over more and more bodies every year, saying the demons in the porn. But this guy's saying, no, these are bad spirits. He's also a demonic.
Fourth quarter demon estimates looking good.
If these trends continue,
I can't fully explain it either. But I just want to just keep reading here.
I guess any fucking ally in a fight.
Yeah, any port in a storm. Later in their exchange, Greer says it is likely that the chaos and darkness afoot in the world now has a lot to do with the internet making hardcore porn easily accessible almost everywhere in the world. He also speculates about whether the collapse of fertility is connected to porn-connected events in the spiritual world. And then this is my favorite. Wild. Just wild. About demons, Greer advises his reader not to underestimate what he's dealing with. They are smarter than we are. I'm quoting from the Archdruid here. They are smarter than we are. That's something to keep in mind. Human beings are far from the most intelligent entities around. Obviously, with most Rod things, a lot of the real heat comes in the updates.
Oh, yeah.
So this is update 2 after update 1. I put the wrong link to the initial career exchange. It's fixed now. Again, if you're posting at 5 in the morning, you know, you're in the den.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's lit by a dim glow. You're furiously posting about pornography, and you just have to get something out of you.
You gotta get it out there
on the etheric plane.
You gotta orgone it up.
Okay, so update number 2. Matt in Virginia. Matt in Brooklyn. It says here.
What? No.
No,
that was not me.
Matt in let's just say somewhere. Taking on the porn version of the Boomer Chestnut. Well, Elvis was controversial when he first came on the scene. Matt writes, is this the whole my parents had a Playboy on the coffee table back in 1962, so nothing has really changed? Because 15-year-olds watching anal excavators, complete with footage of the blown-out prolapse for 4 hours a night is a very different thing. You watch that a lot shorter than 4 hours. Come on.
What were all these demons doing before internet porn existed? Like, did internet porn generate the demons? In his theology, were they just sitting around waiting to be called up?
No, the demons are just sitting around.
Yeah.
The demons have been there.
They're in the city of pandemonium, but now thanks to the internet, they can game with us.
Yes.
Through the etheric plane.
They finally got a land connection to
of our through nut magic.
Yes, to our ethereal nuts.
Read the whole post if you'd like to know the Archdruid's thoughts on like what are the demons he's talking about? Are they purely evil? Should pornography be banned? Is masturbation bad?
Yes. Also, like, what's the best way to defeat a goblin band in the Enchanted Forest?
Yes.
You know, do you go with spells or edged weapons?
It's like we said in a previous episode, Rod lives in an actual D&D world.
Yes.
And he's constantly getting sent side quests by his readers, right?
Yeah.
You know, my wife is possessed, I've got a jack-off demon, there's my son's been bimbo-fied, stuff like that.
He is...
And, those are side quests that have rewards, and then he's got the main quest, which is the Benedict option.
Yes. He is a paladin in his own adventure. And honestly, it sounds really cool to live in a world in which you are literally engaged in spiritual, magical warfare against not just the armies of reality, but like literally the armies of God and the devil are on your side all the time.
Roll a 1d20 to see if you can summon Coach O to tell you if your boy looks good or not.
On a future episode, let's actually get the D&D rulebook and roll up Rod stats.
Oh, I would love to do that.
That's a great idea. Maybe for our next gaming episode, we should do a Rod D&D campaign.
Honestly, honestly,
who gets to be Rod?
The 5e player's handbook is about 1 foot from your head, Virgil. We shouldn't do it right now, but we could, and I would love to do that.
He really is. I'm realizing he is the Alex Jones of social issues, in that he is this sort of lint roller for all the ambient anxieties around, changing cultural values and stuff. And he reflects genuine fault lines and contradictions that need to be dealt with. But he does it in the most frenetic and hysteric and conspiratorial and frankly delusional register that he looks like a maniac. And there's just nothing to credit there because you're like, oh, you're just having an episode. Do you want me to put my wallet in your mouth?
I think he's pretty cool.
He's
Yeah.
extremely cool.
I think he's pretty cool. I'll just be thinking about that line. Hey, Coach O, how does my boy look in this for a while?
Hey, Coach O, it's 97 degrees out and they've been practicing for 4 hours. Do you think you can get some water? No, fuck him. He's a pussy. Oh no, he's dead now.
I will be writing the story of Coach O over the Christmas and winter break, which
story
I
of
think we
Coach
should depart to right now, guys. We're gonna go see the Star Wars.
We're gonna go see the Star Wars. Can't wait.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know. I've read all the spoilers. I'm gonna tell you guys them right now.
No.
Check it out.
No. No. No.